Seth,
Steeg.
we're back. We're live in color,
That's right.
in high definition television.
We're here.
What's the what did Bill
Live and
O'Reilly
in
say?
living color. Is that?
Yeah, like I was gonna say, fuck it, we'll do it live, but close enough. We're back for a special edition of the Illuminati Roundup, the breaking news of USF athletics and all things bull related. It is your host for the evening, Robert Steeg, and my co-host, my partner in crime, my first lover, my second lover, and my eighth lover, Seth Varnadore, here to talk a little basketball, maybe a little bit of Olympic sports too while we're at it, if we've got the time. But some breaking news happened. USF fired Mike Bray and went ahead
You gotta
and
feel bad for feel bad for Mike Bray. Got the job last time we potted. It must not have had a strong. I hear from what I've heard, he is not great with contracts, so his buyout must have been pretty weak. Got fired.
Something happened.
No.
Something happened, and that might be a story for the Discord only. But USF officially has hired their head coach for men's basketball. USF made the announcement today that they have hired Amir Abdur Rahim, the former Kennesaw State head coach, to lead the men's basketball program going forward, replacing Brian Gregory, who was fired after 6 seasons here. So, Seth, off the bat, off the top, there seems to be a lot of goodwill and excitement around this hire, at least from the social media side of things. But for the avid observer and the casual fan, such as yourself, what are the thoughts that you have here? What's ringing through your head?
I thought, this guy was probably like 10 more minutes of really good basketball from not being out of USF's price range, right? He was a name that some people brought up early. I just always thought, because going through, looking through kind of his career and starting to look at when USF was looking to hire coaches, okay, who are some young coaches that they could go after? And so I saw like the 40 under 40 list, and his name was on there, and I was like, okay, probably most of the guys. And then I saw his name on a bunch of other lists of like guys that are in line for big P5 jobs. So he seemed like he wasn't going to be attainable, especially if they had a good run. So as you're watching that first round game and they're playing Xavier pretty close and they're up by a good bit, you're thinking, okay, you can cross his name off the list. He's going to get a big job, right? And ended up not happening. So I was somewhat surprised that it was he turned out to be a feasible candidate, because it seemed like he was destined for a bigger job, but he's taking the USF job, and I'm sure he thinks he can kind of pull the same turnaround he did at Kennesaw. If he does that at USF, then he can go get a bigger job, or maybe he can turn USF into a place he'd like to stay.
Good. No, it was funny during the opening round. I think everyone coming into the March Madness tournament, all eyes were basically on any of those mid-major coaches from schools that we can consider to be paying less than what USF would. And I'm using that exact terminology because there's a lot of really good mid-major programs. The one that comes to mind is VCU, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But a mid-major school that USF can pay more than, and there was 4 or 5 coaches that we could circle. And I think during the tournament, every single time one of those coaches won a game, I said, they're out. We can't afford that now. It was Bob Ricci at Furman. It was Pat Kelsey from College of Charleston. And at halftime of the Kennesaw State Xavier game, I said, we can cross off Coach AAR. We're not going to be able to afford him, because every single time they win one of these games, that's another $1 million added to their potential salary. Something that USF could maybe swing in a couple of years, but paying a buyout and paying a couple of buyouts at the same time, you're not going to be able to afford that. So I think USF got fortunate that they bottled that lead a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely seems like luck was on their side there. And that's something that Michael Kelly's kind of done a pretty good job of. despite how it turned out, not many people thought that Jeff Scott would go to like a USF level job, right? A lot of people thought, look where Tony Elliott ended up at Virginia, right? And they were pretty much the same level. So Michael Kelly's done a pretty good job of identifying guys that maybe looked like they wouldn't be attainable and going out and getting them. Obviously, we're hoping this one turns out a little bit better than that one, but he's got kind of everything you would want. Obviously, probably like a better record, but circumstantially, and we'll talk about that. There's reasons for these for these kind of things. I thought was interesting. I just read he's been nominated for 3 National Coach of the Year awards this year. The Phelan Award, which goes to the nation's top Division I coach, the Durham Award, which goes to the top D1 mid-major coach, and then also the Ben Jobe Award, which is presented to the top D1 minority coach. So pretty good resume there. And I'm sure we'll talk about the big turnaround he engineered at Kennesaw. And that's kind of what you're hoping he can do here at USF, because this is not a program that's, probably just needed a little nudge. There's probably needed some rebuilding, maybe some foundation relaying and things of that nature to get it where it could be. And he's got some other interesting parts to his game that we'll talk about, especially on the recruiting side. I think he brings an interesting dynamic there. So
right. I will say there's a shockingly similar situation to what happened with football, and we can probably address the elephant in the room of what happened there. So reports started spewing out in the last 48 hours, or probably 72 hours at that point, of Ryan Odom, the Utah State basketball coach, interviewing and being interested in the USF job. Ryan Odom, former GA for USF, he orchestrated the biggest upset in the NCAA tournament at the time when he took UMBC and had them upset Virginia in the first round as a 16-1. Ended up over at Utah State for the last couple of years and sustained success there. And it looked like there was a lot of really good positive discussions there. And for particular reasons, which was a domino effect of multiple sets. So the first one being that USF was waiting until April 1st because of the buyout money that they would owe to Utah State for, stealing him. But also the domino effect of the coaching carousel went into full slate. Penn State Notre Dame ended up hiring Penn State's coach. Penn State ended up hiring VCU's coach. And then Ryan Odom, who's from that area a little bit, he's from North Carolina originally. He had a yearn to go back to the East Coast.
He's a mid-Atlantic guy.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, let's be honest, and let's be completely truthful with ourselves, Seth. VCU is a much better basketball program, and he will be able to see success instantaneously and make probably very similar, if not more money at VCU than he would here, and have to deal with a lot less stress.
They're a national. I think they're probably a national basketball brand at this point. They're always they've become like the new Gonzaga, because Gonzaga's kind of taking that next step into being like the power, to where when you see them as a 12 seed, you're like, oh, I'm VCU. Yeah, they're always going to pull that 12-5 upset, right? So, and I think you said it in the Discord, maybe even on Twitter, they've been kind of a launching pad for coaches as well. Like it's been pretty steady string of the last probably 4 or 5 coaches that have gone through there have gone on to get big time high major jobs from there. So must be a good place to recruit to, because a bunch of guys have been able to win there. And we had some people in the Discord talking about the great environment that's there. So that's a pretty good job. Right now, I'd say it's probably a better job than USF job. And that's probably why he took it, that and some more local ties there.
Absolutely. But let's get into I don't know what we're gonna end up having to affectionately call him yet, because Coach AAR doesn't really, Coach R doesn't flip off the tongue very well, so we'll find a nifty little nickname for him. But let's talk resume a little bit. So off the cuff, doesn't look the cleanest until you dig a little deeper. A
Just in
career,
terms of win losses, right?
yeah, just in terms of win losses, you're looking at a 0.37 or 37% win percentage out of conference, essentially a 37% win percentage in conference. But as we had mentioned, and the reason why he's nominated for so many awards is that he has orchestrated one of the quickest and best turnarounds that you'll ever see in Division One hoops. He took a Kennesaw State team that was just absolutely in the dumpster his first season, 1-16, 1-28, 0-16 in the conference in the 2019-2020 season, and built brick by brick all the way back up into this past season, where they went 26-9, 15-3 in the conference. They won the Atlantic Sun Conference, and then they were damn near in the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament. So to go from essentially one win to the NCAA tournament, I think USF had noted that was the fastest turnaround in a program's history to go from one win to an NCAA tournament. So that's the resume that we all like to see.
Yeah, and then kind of beyond just like the head coaching stuff, the things I thought were interesting were, and you'll see this is going to be like the next what is like the NBA when like Jason Tatum's only 20 or whatever. The next like big buzz phrase for USF fans is going to be that Amir Abdur Rahim was the lead recruiter for Anthony Edwards at Georgia. Right. But his maybe even Bone. Yeah, that might be the next one too. But the interesting thing is, so he's from Marietta, I believe. So he's from Georgia. Atlanta is really a great spot to recruit basketball. I think in the South, Atlanta is like what Florida is to football. In the South, Atlanta is probably to basketball. So having those connections in the state of Georgia, I'm sure he's got connections with people in the state of Florida. He seems to be really well liked, which is something that when the Mike Bray news kind of when it started coming out that it wasn't going to happen, you started to see AAU coaches and some other people around the state go, USF just dodged a bullet with that one. So that was something that was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But this guy, I think, is going to have those connections in places you need to get into in recruiting in the South. So that will be helpful. And he's obviously proven he can do it at a pretty high level.
Absolutely. And speaking of recruiting, that's kind of the interesting thing that stuck out to me when I was doing my research on him over the last couple of months was it was the philosophy that he had when he took over the program was to just, I know that it's going to require a rebuild and just kind of tear it down and build it up the right way, regardless of how it was going to be done. So he didn't take a lot of transfers during his time. I think I could constitute that he took a normal amount of transfers every year, so about one or two, but really just hammered the high school recruiting area and really hammered the local recruiting in Atlanta and just outside of Atlanta. And a lot of these guys that they had on this 2020 this NCAA tournament Kennesaw State team are from, I would probably, if I could draw a circle around it, probably within 150 miles of Kennesaw. There's a lot of guys there's a guy from Beaufort, Georgia, Columbus, Georgia, Rome, Mobile, Alabama, Atlanta, Smyrna, Georgia, College Park, Tuscaloosa. You still have a few guys that are outside of that. So you have a few guys from just looking off the top, Virginia, and they have a guy from England, which I think is fucking hilarious. And a guy from Brooklyn, and then Bloomington. But almost everyone else is from Georgia, Alabama, or Florida. And I think that's a really strong way to know the community, because it's easy enough to say, oh, I got to rebuild this shit. All right, let me go into the transfer portal, NCAA transferportal.com and search highest to lowest and then start reaching out from there. But, he really worked to rebuild it in a way that benefited the team in the long run, knowing that we're going to take our lumps now, 2019, it's going to suck, but we're going to do it and we're going to get it done the right way. And a lot of these, looking through where these guys are from, it's schools that for someone like me who's not very familiar with high school recruiting, especially in basketball, I mean these are pretty known schools in the greater Georgia area. So I think he's a smart guy when it comes to building these recruiting rosters. I'd be interested to see what approach he takes down here because Florida recruiting is not like the greater Atlanta area. You're gonna have to dig to find some guys, but that Georgia area, they're always going to be interested in coming in Florida. So,
well, I think him being a native and coaching in the state and multiple stops, I think he'll still be able to go dip back into there, right, pretty easily,
right.
and offer an opportunity to play. It's not going to be obviously as strong. Losing a team like Houston, it's not going to be quite as strong, but it'll still be a pretty good. It'll be kind of I would say, above. It's not a below average. It's still an above average conference in terms of men's basketball. So not quite at the Power 5 level or whatever they call it in basketball, but it'd probably be in that tier below still. So I think that'll be kind of an important area for him to keep digging into, and I'm sure he will. And then you can, depending on who he hires on staff, you can make those connections in the state and try to find guys there. But I think, having that Atlanta connection is going to be very important in recruiting.
Oh, yes, it will.
Especially I think in the AAU world as well. There's some really big teams that are kind of based out of there. And I know Tampa's got some teams as well that are pretty decent. But Atlanta, they've been really good on the AAU circuit for a while. So
quite good. I'm trying to double check because I believe one of USF's current commits is from just outside of Georgia, or not just outside of Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. And I'm trying to remember his name because my ass can't remember shit.
Was it the kid at the prep school? Where is he from?
God, nothing is updated. Why? What do I pay these people for? Who? No, I do think at least how he wants to build out this his coaching staff is going to be interesting to watch because he can take a few different.
Anthony Robinson is from Peachtree City.
That's who it is. I wanted to say it was Miles Shea, but I was incorrect on that. But he's already familiar with Coach Amir here, so because he offered him out of high school, so we at least have that going for us for familiarity to keep some sort of continuity because he was a hot name at least in the high school ranks. But as far as assistant coaches, we haven't heard anything yet.
Well, just real quick, Miles Chase, I think he's at the Skill Factory as a prep school, which is in Atlanta, I believe.
Oh, you're right. He is as well.
Yeah, so there you go.
Hey, don't have to travel too far.
Yeah.
Well, you still have to travel, but you still had that familiarity at least. But his at least as far as assistant coaches, haven't heard anything about what he's going to do. Obviously, I think he's probably 24 hours after accepting the job. So he's probably in the stage of like answering a bunch of text messages that say congratulations and don't forget about us and everything like that. So
with the confetti going off in the background,
right? Sending the thank you message to the Kennesaw State faithful as well. So I'd imagine he'll probably build out this staff pretty quickly, and he's got a lot of connections across various links of collegiate basketball and professional basketball as well. So, he's coached some good players over the years since starting at Murray State and then moving to College of Charleston, Texas A&M, and Georgia. So, they're guys that you can pull that maybe former NBA players or, guys in the recruiting ranks now or AAU coaches or anything like that. I'd imagine that they're probably going to want to overhaul the entire coaching staff, but we'll see if he decides anyone should stay or anyone should go. I think most fans would probably want a fresh start, but maybe he wants a little bit of a weighted connection.
And his brother is Sharif Abdur Rahim, right?
Correct. Yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah, third pick in the 96 draft behind Allen Iverson and Marcus Camby. Pretty good player, and now he's the president of the G League.
Right. And you can pull someone. And he might he might bring a staffer over from Kennesaw. Heath, to answer your question there in the chat, will he bring any Kennesaw State players with him? Who knows? None of the Kennesaw players are in the portal right now. As of I'm going to say 9:11 p.m. on March 29th. None of them are in the portal, and only one USF player has entered the portal. So I believe that USF has 7 available scholarships for next season. 4 available scholarships for next season. They have 7 departures. They have 3 true freshmen coming in. Yes. Yeah. The math is mathing.
3 of their top 5 scorers are juniors. I think the leading scorer, that Chris Youngblood, I think I've heard his name. People think he might be able to go like high major, but I'm not positive on that one. So he was a composite 4-star coming out of high school.
Got to know how to recruit him.
So you got a composite 4-star to go to Kennesaw. It's pretty good.
To be fair, we had a composite 4-star come to USF, and that didn't work out for us. So,
yeah, but I mean, I think Kennesaw. I think we're seeing right here, Kennesaw is a step below USF. So to get him to go there, even better. So,
don't tell our friend Mr. Sir that.
Well, he found out today.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
But that's kind of it, isn't it? Like I'm excited to see what he says at his press conference tomorrow. And for anyone that's in the Discord, my opinion on opening press conferences is like, everyone's like, oh, I don't know about this guy. I don't know about Golish. I don't know about him. And then he's going to get up there.
This guy's awesome.
And he's going to say, we're going to work harder than every other team in the country. We're going to love each other more than any team in the country. And then, we're all just going to jizz our pants and have a good time together.
Well, how does it work in basketball? Because in football, it's like we're going to be aggressive on offense. We're going to be aggressive on defense. In basketball, do they say we're going to run and gun and shoot threes and we're going to press on defense? Or, how does that work? It's probably not quite it's probably not quite the same.
I'd imagine he's going to say something along the lines of like, we're going to recruit our asses off. We're going to, bring the best talent we can to South Florida, and we're going to win, we're going to win a conference championship, and, I'm going to turn around this program and blah, blah, blah. And, we're going to fight every moment of the way. This team's not going to give up no matter what. And then, confetti's going to go off behind him.
There you go.
We're gonna shoot the hoops better than anyone else that's shooting hoops.
As long as he doesn't say score the basketball. That's a phrase I hate.
I've always had and I'm about to absolutely jinx the shit out of this. I've always had this horrible premonition that a USF coach in their opening press conference accidentally calls us UCF.
Oh.
Again, I should say. Well, not again, technically. That wasn't a press conference. But Charlie Strong in his first remarks to the USF football team when they were coming home from the Birmingham Bowl called them UCF. So
stick with the South Florida.
Yeah,
just
easy enough. Just South Florida. I'm so excited to be a South Florida Bowl. Oh yeah, and the bone thing. We'll talk about that for a second before we maybe talk about a little bit of other sports, but. The thing that he had at Kennesaw State was bone, which was what was it? Help me out here, Seth.
Yeah, I'm not Googling that.
It's
in the Discord.
It is in Discord. I got it. I'm pulling it up right now. But so the hashtag bone was what they used. So like for football right now, it's like be who you say you are. But bone was B1 no ego. Like kind of like check your Gregory, thank you. Kind of like check your egos at the door. We're not here to, we're gonna do this together because it's a team sport and yada yada yada. But it was just so funny because they have so many shirts that just say bone right across it, and I'm the fucking 12-year-old who's like, yeah, we need the bone zone, baby. We need to bone each other. We need it.
Are they going to change it from the SoFlo Rodeo to the Bone Zone?
It should be the bone zone.
The Bone Dome.
Yeah, the bone zone and the foam dome. That's what it's going to be. Here we go. But yeah, so introductory press conference is tomorrow at 11 a.m.
And I believe it'll be streamed as well. So
yes, it'll be streamed on Twitter. It'll be on YouTube on the USF Athletics playlist, and it will also be on Facebook. And it's actually going to be on ESPN Plus too. Look at that.
Noon welcome events open to the public at the basketball center.
I will not be there, and I don't think any of us are going to be there. Actually, that's
a
little short notice for us.
Yes, but watching live on ESPN Plus, or Twitter,
watching live,
or YouTube, or Facebook. So check it out tomorrow at noon. Should be pretty cool.
Should be a good time. I hope he says something just absolutely just off the rails. Like I've listened to a few of his interviews, and he's just like a really like he comes off extremely genuine, which can result in you kind of saying really stupid shit. Like when in the heat of the moment, like in your peak and adrenaline is flowing and everything like that, and you accidentally let something slip that you probably shouldn't. So I'm excited to see if he says something like, yeah, we're gonna bring the bone zone to the foam dome.
That'd be great. Will there be a USF media fight a la Anchorman?
There might be. I with how things unfurled this coaching search, we might get a few punches thrown.
USF news team throwdown. That'd be
a good reason to go, is to see how feel the tense awkwardness within the media scrum. And be walking around like this with a grenade.
But that should be a fun time. And I'm surprised they're streaming this. You don't want to give your opponents any type of advantage going to the next season. So
shoot threes and make more shots than the other team. Am I right?
There you go. Basketball is a simple game.
Put ball in hoop. Don't let the other team do it.
There you go. Easy.
Comes down simple. But I've been looking for. I know there's a lot of film breakdown of various coaches throughout this offseason, and I saw someone started a thread about Kennesaw State's against Xavier. So I'm going to see if I can find a little bit more of that, compile it all together in a thread as well. So that we can, see how it is. Because I know that was one complaint about the Gregory era was the lack of play calling, or the lack of creative play calling as far as basketball goes. Heath, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole yet. We'll have to find some personal accounts for that one. But it seems like most of the other USF coaches are excited for Coach Amir to come here. So we'll see how many of them show up tomorrow. I'd imagine Golish is going to be there. I'd imagine actually all of them. Maybe I think the only coach that I think definitely probably won't be there is Jose, because I think he is in Europe right now recruiting. But I think every other coach should be there, which is obviously a good sign as well.
Yeah. All right. Always good to have different teams cheering for each other and rooting for each other. So here's one. Let's see if I can throw this up on the screen real quick.
Maybe it'll be a good segue here.
We'll throw this one up, and then I think we're going to move on to more of a roundup.
Yeah, we'll do a quick little roundup here. There it is.
Yeah, shoots it at 43%.
So it was just a set from their game.
San Francisco, first team all Big East, one of the biggest impact transfers.
Side pick and roll with a corner pin, I believe is what they said.
How about this? You mentioned that Marquette game, the Big East championship. He only had 1 point. Banker, good, and a foul. Terrell.
So you see, you have the pin down screen coming here. You got the pick and roll. You get him open for a corner three, possibly. Also open up the lane.
Championship. He only had 1 point. Banker,
good, and
a foul.
Against a really good Xavier program too.
Yep.
I know that guy's posted quite a bit of the Kennesaw's stuff. I think there was a lot of good eyes on Kennesaw during that tournament.
Yeah, it seems like people have been watching them for a little bit.
Absolutely. We're going to do a quick roundup to go over some things because we're going to mesh it all together to save some time for me and save some effort. I'll check on that one here in a second, Wizard. First, we'll talk about number 54 ranked men's tennis. They have won 5 games in a row, 7 of their last 8. So they're 11-9 currently. They beat Wichita State 7-0 on Sunday, swept them. Wasn't particularly close. USF won it pretty handedly. They sprung out to a 4-0 lead to secure the win, and then dropped 2 sets and tiebreakers. So nothing to worry about there. They do have a battle upcoming next on April 2nd. They play SMU, who I think is ranked 43rd, if I remember correctly. So ranked higher, but should be a battle. Another good program that USF always gets to face every single year in men's tennis. Switching to the women's tennis, the women's side of things, they are on their 6th win in a row. They are ranked number 60 in the country. I will go on record on this now. This is the best turnaround that I have seen from a USF team ever. From a year-over-year standpoint, last year they won 7 games. They looked terrible. They couldn't get anything going. They are 10-5.
Was this the team? Was this the team where you fired the coach?
Yes, it was, and just eggs all over my face. They won their matchup this week pretty handedly as well against DePaul. So doubles point was a battle, but they eventually came through in the singles. They won on 3 straight to secure the victory. So they have a couple good matches coming up. They play Rice and Houston. Then they play FIU in Houston. And then they play Houston on Friday, Saturday, and Monday, respectively. And hopefully by then, Vito will be back and we'll get a good little roundup as well once he's done boning in Italy. This is the NSFW version of the Illuminati podcast and roundup and breaking news segment.
Oh, you mean he's being one, no ego?
Yes,
Italy.
He is being one, no ego. Women's and men's golf are still off until April, until next week. They are just hanging out, probably crushing some Bud Lights and ripping some darts on the course while they're preparing. Baseball, we'll talk ugly for a second here. They lost to Florida Gulf Coast in a midweek matchup last week, 5-3. The weekend series was about as normal as you could hope for. No, not at all. It was basically that segment of like why can't you be normal? And the kids just screaming in the back seat. They lost pretty bad on Friday night. I believe they lost 14-3. If I recall the score correctly off the top of my head. It was tied 3-3 going into the 6th. And then they gave up 11 unanswered between the 6th and the 7th. So, yeah, they got a quality start out of their starter. And then the bullpen was like, you know what? Let's just leave it all hanging. They loaded the bases twice. And, not great. They did end up with a little bit of redemption, winning 9-0 on Saturday. So their first shutout since Brown of last year. So quite a while since USF pitched a shutout in baseball. It was 18-3. Thank you, Wizard. And then on Sunday, they fucked them around. They messed around for a little bit and a football game broke out. They lost 25-15. just absolutely no pitching to be seen, no pitching to be heard. Just, this USF baseball team, and this is going to sound like a broken record, but we talked about the basketball team too. Really, really, really good offensively this year. They have so many good hitters on this team. It is ridiculous. Eric Stowe, Travis Sankovic, Drew Brutcher. I could go on and on. This team is loaded with the bats, but there are so many young arms on this team. It is comical, and they're quality guys. These are all guys that were highly rated and highly recruited, but fuck, man, they're just young and they're getting left out to dry sometimes. So we'll see if they can come up with something. They did end up beating Bethune-Cookman 9-1 last night at historic Jackie Robinson Field there in Tallahassee. In Daytona. So a nice little midweek victory there to hopefully get some positivity going. They do have a tough road matchup against Orlando Community College of Oviedo this weekend. So Warren and I 4 points on the board and on the taking. So we'll see what they can come up with. And then moving into softball, swept ECU over the weekend, won all 3 matches against a pretty well improved East Carolina program, one that was fighting for a top spot in the standings, at least as far as non-conference goes. Some good news out of the weekend. Gabriella Nori came back from an injury. I think she broke a toe about a month ago, so this was her first game back. She pitched a complete game, 6 hits, 1 earned run, and 2 strikeouts. So a great 6-1 victory on Friday evening. On Saturday evening, started a little dicey, down 4-0 early, and then ended up winning 9-5. So great showing there to come back. And then on Sunday, they just absolutely waxed the door. They won 8-0 in 6 innings. So much like their baseball counterparts, they get a tough little matchup. They play Wichita State, who is ranked number 23 in the country this year, and is favored to, or one of the favorites to win the conference. So, tough little matchup on deck for USF softball here, but overall looking pretty good, and a healthy pitching rotation will definitely help them out. Now moving to everyone's favorite segment, Seth, sailing. Oh, we get a little sailing action. They had a regatta this past weekend. They had the Dublin Women's Trophy race in Massachusetts. Couldn't tell you where it was. I think it was Meadowrock. They placed 7th out of 10. So not bad. Conditions looked favorable the entire weekend for them too. Got a little too windy on Sunday, but nonetheless, a good little showing against some tough competition. At least that's what the website said. Couldn't vouch for it. I usually vouch if a team is located on the coast. I usually can assume that they're pretty good, and all these teams were coastal. Listen, when I saw Wisconsin had a sailing team, all bets were off. I was like, all right,
they got the lakes, right?
They got a few lakes there. I did think that this was interesting, though. They have 2 races this weekend at the same time. They have the Dellenbaugh women's team race that's in Providence, and then they have the Green Wave women's team race in New Orleans, Louisiana. Both of them are on the website. Both of them say that they're going to be there. Both of them have the same roster that it is going to be racing. So I'm curious to see what that's going to look like for next week. And then last but not least, our track and field folks had a surprise invitation to the UCF track and field event, again, taking place in Orlando. Only the pole vaulters were invited. Not sure what the logistics were that went down into that. But nonetheless, Ella Dulce and Riley Hunt took 2nd and 3rd in the women's pole vault. And Kobe Babin took 1st place in the men's. And then Noah Bitter took 3rd. And Stone Baker did not qualify. They didn't say the specifics. They just say did not qualify. I wish they did. And then up this weekend, they have the Florida Relays in Gainesville. So that's the roundup in 8 minutes.
And it does appear that USF is hosting the men's and women's outdoor track and field conference championships, as well as somewhat the host for both the golf championships, it looks like, and softball.
Right. I don't know how that rotation works. Actually, yeah, we host a lot of things. Well, it's Florida. But yeah, I think the new track improvements and all the logistical things that they're doing there is probably letting them. Plus, we won the 4x100 men's relay last year, which was a huge win. So I think they were trying to just throw us a bone. I think they normally had Houston hosted, but I think they took it away from them for leaving the conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It appears. It looks like the only other person. The tennis is at like the United States tennis campus, and then lacrosse is up in Temple. Everything else seems to be in Florida. So
I wonder why.
There you go.
But that's the roundup.
Are you ready? I mean, are we doing? I'm ready for a fella and Bella.
Oh, the fella and the Bella.
I'm ready for it.
Well,
I did my research.
You did your research. Seth, lay it on me. Who's your fella?
I didn't do enough research to make sure I know how to pronounce his name. But I'm going to go with Eric Grevelius.
Fantastic choice. That is his name.
AAC Player of the Week in men's tennis from Stockholm, Sweden.
Good looking man.
4-0 in singles and doubles play last week.
That's pretty good. The fella for me, the man that has stolen my heart, Kobe Babin. God, he looks like an absolute gem. I'll do a special shout out to Daniel Cantu as well. He has been on fire the last 4 games at the plate. I think he's like 11 out of 23 and has hit like, I think 13 RBI or something ridiculous like that. So special shout out to him. But Kobe Babin, first place of the UCF track and field poll voting. We'll always give it to our first place folks while I can. Bella of the week. I'm gonna go with an unconventional one. I would normally do Sierra Berry because she's really fucking good at tennis. Mm-hmm. But Gabriella Nori coming back from injury.
That was mine.
I love seeing a pitcher come back from an injury or a starter like that come back from an injury and just pitch a complete game like that. It was the most gratifying thing ever when I saw that she was in the starting lineup. I was thrilled.
2 complete games on the weekend and one including one shutout. So there you go.
That's an easy way to win our hearts. And then again, special shout out to Sierra Berry, who continues to be just really fucking good at tennis.
So, there you go.
Perfect. All right, Seth. Any? Yes, Sunday. There is a watch party at Paddy Wagons, courtesy of our Fowler Avenue Collective. Working with some of the football players as well. So they'll be at Paddy Wagons to watch a little baseball, maybe do a little get into some libations of some sort. I've heard there's going to be some giveaways and some cool stuff given away as well. So if you're free on Sunday, stop by, say hello, support those guys because I know they're itching to hit somebody. And if you're lucky enough, they'll take you out to the parking lot. Let you do some Oklahoma drills.
Oklahoma between the cars.
Oh, yeah. Gravel parking lot and all, baby.
And if you survive, you get a War Daddy t-shirt.
Oh, yeah. The coveted War Daddy t-shirt.
There you go. Steeg, another excellent job. Another excellent roundup.
I'm not as good as KK is at doing these roundups. But I think I'm doing all right.
I think so, too.
It's been beautiful tonight, Seth. I'm glad we get some positive things to talk about every once in a while. And who knows, maybe we'll have some football insight to get soon.
Yeah, we have. If you are not in the Discord, we had some nice little nuggets dropped by a source today and there about football being kind of around campus today for a few things. Got some pretty good little news nuggets in there. Nothing major, but some good stuff. So we've got some real live reporters in there, and we've also got the hashtag fans with sources too. So it's a fun little time in the Discord. Follow us on Twitch. Send us a screenshot of your follow, and you can get an invite to the Discord as well. It's very active, and it's free. Yeah.
It's free. We have everything. We have a channel if you want to talk about dogs, if you want to talk about food, if you're traveling. We got a little bit of everything for everyone. We
general college football, general college hoops. We talked about how the Temple search was not going too well in college basketball and all kinds of other stuff. We even got wrestling. You got WrestleMania coming up this weekend, Steve. Do you want to talk wrestling with your with your friends, do it in the Discord.
There's only one wrestler that I care about, and he's retired. I miss Rey Mysterio so much.
Oh, he's not Steeg. All right, do you have Peacock?
I don't have Peacock.
He's fighting his son this weekend.
No way.
Yes.
I had no idea. I assumed he'd been done.
No.
Logan, if you're looking to join the Discord, reach out to either myself or Seth on Twitter. We'll walk you through it. Fairly easy process. Follow us on Twitch. If you don't have an account, you can sign up very easily. It's a good way to interact with us as well. If you follow us on Twitch, we'll hand you the invite. No strings attached. NSA, all that stuff. No, I assumed Rey Mysterio was gone along and retired because I've seen so many TikToks of that man just looking like he's not having a good time.
Well, here's what's happened, Steve. His son has turned on him. His son Dominic, who he had to fight Eddie Guerrero to get custody of.
Yes. Which is my favorite screen grab of all time.
Slap in the face.
Oh my God!
So
and it's on Peacock this weekend.
Oh, WrestleMania 2 nights. That's one of the matches. Dominic's been pushing his buttons, Steve. All right, for months now, attacking him at Thanksgiving, trying to pull his mask off on TV. Beating him up before he could come out for the Royal Rumble. All kinds of stuff like that. But he finally disrespected his mother in front of Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio punched him in the face and said he'd see him at WrestleMania.
Oh man, I'm absolutely getting Peacock this weekend.
I mean, things are happening, Steve. If it could be, and I think he's also getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this week.
Oh, good.
It'll be a big Rey Mysterio weekend for you if that's what you're looking for.
This is the weekend of the 619, if I'll tell you that much.
That's right.
You got San Diego State in the Final Four and Rey Mysterio in the Hall of Fame,
beating up his son. It's gonna be big.
Who amongst us doesn't want to just lay it down every once in a while with your son?
That's right. I mean, in front of 80,000 people, who doesn't want to do that?
Oh man, I'm so excited! I can't wait to tell Paige about this tonight. She's gonna be like, "Shut up! I don't give a shit."
Tell her about the long-term storytelling here.
Oh, I will. I've shown her that screen grab of the fight of the Hell in the Cell fight for custody.
What else does she need?
Her favorite wrestler is IRS. So
there you go.
We went to an arcade. We'll go off on this tangent. We went to an arcade one night, and they had the old school WrestleMania on the arcade and everything like that. And she was like, "There's no way he's called the IRS." And I was like, "He's not. It's IRS." And he hates tax. He fights you if you don't pay your taxes.
That's right.
It's IRS. She says it's the IRS because he's formal.
Well, I think it's his initials,
It is. That's why it's IRS, not the IRS.
Yeah. His sons may be fighting at WrestleMania, possibly IRS's sons. It's. I mean, Steve, this is right up your alley.
My weekend is decided already.
There you go.
I've canceled dinner with my grandmother. I'm watching Rey Mysterio punch the shit out of Dominic.
Where's your grandmother from?
She's from St. Augustine. She was down here these past couple days.
Tell her Dusty Rhodes' son is fighting in WrestleMania. She knows who Dusty Rhodes is.
She's gotta know who Dusty Rhodes is.
Right?
Honestly, she probably does. I think if I said the word Dusty Rhodes, she'd probably think it's familiar, but
she'd know. All righty, Steve, another great job. Start watching Rey Mysterio highlights now to get ready.
I'm ready.
It's going to be great. Seth,
appreciate you hopping on tonight. Maybe we'll get Nate back one of these days. Maybe he's about to do some Hell in the Cell against his son.
Oh, maybe.
Considered. Have we considered? No, but if you are so inclined, keep Nate and his father in your thoughts. There's a reason why Nate isn't here tonight, and it's not because of his father directly, but he will not be going to the thing tomorrow for a personal matter. So keep Nate's father in your thoughts and prayers if you are so inclined. Yeah. But for Seth and for myself, thank you all for a lively discussion tonight, and go Bulls.
Go Bulls and booyaka booyaka.